Hi, my name is Jim Biggins. I'm with the Alpha Media Group of radio stations here in the Great Lakes Bay region, including 94.5 The Moose, where I do the morning show, and WSUW AM and FM, KISS 107 and 106.3 The Core. And I hope you got a couple minutes to spend with us because we got some fun stuff coming up, and we want to fill in a little spot on your calendar for this weekend where I think we can all have some fun and do some good in the process. And so I'd like to bring on right now from the Children's Grief Center of the Great Lakes Bay region, the executive director, Chris Saberin. And I would also like to bring in the director of MBS International Airport, James Kanders. How are you, gentlemen?
Good, thank you.
You have put together something that when I first heard about it, I immediately, you know how dogs cock their heads? There's like a human equivalent to that. And that's what I did. There's an event this weekend, and I think, Chris, I'd like to have you explain it a little bit first.
Sure.
But, running shoes or no running shoes, pretty interesting reason to come on out to the airport this weekend.
Absolutely. Today, or this weekend, May 20th on Saturday, we're holding our third annual Grit Your Grief 5K run walk event. It is our major fundraiser for the Children's Grief Center, where we provide a healing environment for children, teens, and their families who are grieving the death of a person in their life. And so this whole race is something we do to continue our funding to run our programs, because right at this time, all of our programs are free to families who come and request our services. We also reach out to area schools. This past year, we were out in 33 schools serving those kids during the day. And again, that's all done at no cost. So the fundraiser is really important to us here at the agency. And when we were planning this year, we've been working with Andy Brady from Dig Deep Races, and we asked him the question, where do the runners, where do they want to be? Where would we do something that's innovative and creative and something new? And he told us about a conversation that he had previously with a previous fire marshal out at the airport, that maybe MBS would be willing to actually be the host, and we could host the course on the runways. Well, Andy made that connection, and here we are today. We're ready to go. This Saturday at 9 a.m. the race will kick off, and it's an exciting event for not just our agency, but also for the community.
For anybody who might have not a lot of time with us, can you, because I have some questions, James, for you in a second here, but Chris, for anybody who already heard race, runway, where do I sign up? Let's get that right up front.
Great, thanks. Yeah, so on the bottom of the screen is our website, childrensgriefglbr.org. And right on the top of that, if you go there, there's a Learn More button. Click there, and all of the registration information is right at your fingertips. And we're still accepting registrations.
James from MBS, I have to ask you when, and I don't know who made the first contact with you, but when somebody suggested, hey, listen, I know you've got two runways. Can you shut one down for a while? Did you roll your eyes and do that same head thing that I did a moment ago? Or what was your reaction?
No, I didn't have that same reaction. And Chris and his group have really done the lion's share of the work on this. And they approached us the end of last year, October, November. And beginning of December, we started the long road to kind of get this done. This type of event's been done at other airports. I've done it at a couple other airports I've worked at. So it's not unusual, but there are a lot of hurdles to go through with FAA approval and TSA approval. And we didn't get TSA approval until really the beginning of last month. So that was the last piece that Chris was very nervous about. I wasn't as nervous, but I know he was.
But I trusted you, James. I trusted you.
Yeah. Well, if this is going to be a 5K, I guess my first question is, I don't even know how long a runway is. I mean, do you have to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on a runway? Is it kind of a course? What is this going to look like?
Well, Chris and his group and I, we kind of put a course together. We had actually several different courses we worked out, and we decided on one. And we closed down an entire runway, but we still have to keep one open. And since they intersect, we can only use a portion of one of the runways to run on. So it's kind of a circuitous route going up around the runways and taxiways that are closed, but it gets us to 5K, and and gets the public to see a lot of parts of the airport they really can't see normally.
I mean, that would be very interesting. I would, gosh, for parents with kids that have a little bit of interest in running and a lot of interest in just being somewhere they've never been before. I mean, how cool is it to be out there on the runway? I mean, I assume if you're looking around the rest of the airport at some point, there's got to be another couple of planes out there, which has to be fascinating for a kid.
Yeah, I would agree so. And we're going to actually have a lot of airport equipment out there that people can't see up close, the equipment that removes the snow in order to prevent people from going on active surfaces where airplanes are still moving. You get these large visual deterrents like the runway snowplows and brooms. And it gets, this is stuff we can't take outside the fence. And so people really don't get a chance to look at it very often.
Right. That's very cool. Very cool. Chris, if I could get back to you for a second, the Children's Grief Center, can you just give us, for anyone who's only marginally familiar, a little bit of the history?
Sure, absolutely. So we were founded in 2014 by Camille Gerace-Nitschke. She experienced death in her family and over time was experiencing the negative repercussions of unsupported grief. She has lots of experience in peer support models as well as creativity and arts. And so she put those skills together to create the Children's Grief Center. When kids come to our evening groups, they come, they talk about their person who died, but then they also, the magic really happens when they realize that they're also with others who have had a relative same experience. I mean, grief is not the same person to person. And we all know that death is not the same person to person, but when they realize that somebody next to them has a similar experience, then they realize they're not alone. They open up a little bit more and they begin their grief journey.
It's interesting. I never really thought about how kids probably grieve somewhat differently than adults. And if that child is grieving, it's because they're in a family where everybody's grieving and they're probably not able to fully help the kid work through that process without this kind of special help. So it's quite a community asset to have. Is this just Tri-Cities, beyond?
We have, for our evening groups, we have 3 locations. We have our home office here in Midland, which is right next to, around the corner from Costco, if you're familiar with that is. We have a satellite location in Saginaw where we rent space at the Children's Museum. And then we also have a group in Bay City where we rent space from Unity, which is a church, but it used to be a Bangor Township elementary school. So it's nice and large and we can spread out. We are not a faith-based agency, but we rent space at those locations to hold our group. So anybody can attend the Midland Saginaw or Bay Saginaw Midland location. But we did some work and we realized that we actually serve schools and families from 13 counties. We have some families who drive an hour and a half to 2 hours to come and partake in our group services. And this year we were driving as far north as Beaverton and Harrison school systems to get there to help them service their students in class.
James, I have to ask you, as running an airport, there's an awful lot of restrictions. You mentioned a couple of government agencies right off the bat that you have to be responsible to and all that. So taking something as large as an airport and with such strict rules, was it really difficult to be able to put together something like this and at the same time, stay on the right side of the rules?
Not terribly difficult. There were some documents we had to throw together, and I worked with Chris to make sure, they met with his requirements. And then, you submit that to the FAA and they kick back, a few changes they would like, and then they finally approve it. And then you send it to the TSA. It's the same process. It's just a lot of back and forth until everybody agrees this is a plan that works and the airport's still open and safe for, the airlines and other aircraft still use. And, the public that are coming out to enjoy the event will be safe and as well.
Now, for anybody running a 5K, 3 ounces of liquid is not nearly enough. Is there some sort of a waiver?
On my end, that's for Chris.
Well, let me ask, because you have an operating airport. The airport's not closed; it's fully operational.
Yeah.
How are you going to get people in and out? And is there any direction you need to give to people who are coming to explain so they end up in the right place?
Yeah. Well, the event grounds are primarily where the old terminal used to be. So if anybody's been around long enough and remember how to get to the old terminal off Garfield Road,
Sure.
We have all that space open, and so there's parking areas there, and there'll be a gate that both airport staff and volunteers with Chris's organization will be around to kind of get them onto the ramps and taxiways and runways to enjoy the event. So we've got the space.
Very good. Chris, this sounds like there's an awful lot more than just a race. Mm-hmm. And when I say race, run or walk, right? Because some of us,
that's correct.
It feels pretty long for me. I don't know.
No, though that's correct. It is a run or walk event on the runways. However, that's exactly right. We have lots of other activities for the general public to come and enjoy. If you're not a runner, we're just asking a $5 fee for the spectator pass. But if you have a family larger than 4, we're capping that at $20 per family. We're going to have a kids zone with crafts, games, tie-dye shirts. We're also going to have food trucks. We're thankful for the Tidwawasee Township Police and Fire, Michigan State Police, Tri-City Post, Bay County Sheriff, and Midland County Sheriff. They're all bringing equipment out for the kids to see. There's going to be fire trucks. There's going to be police cars, dive boats, and so on. We're going to have bounce houses that are going to be there. We're going to have a DJ. And I think I mentioned the food trucks as well. So if you're looking for something to do on a great Saturday, if you want to come out, and your spectator wristband will actually get you through that gate that James was talking about into a spectator space. So you can see the runners come through, cheer them on, and so on. So we really hope that the public will come out, check this out. Check out what James described for the airport. Come see our agency. Oh, that's another thing I forgot. There will be other agency tables there as well. So we're trying to spread the word with not only our agency, but lots of other agencies that do great work in the community. Can
you also kind of review the schedule again? What time do runners need to be there for registration? What time would just spectators have to come through? Or
yeah, absolutely. So we actually have, if anybody who's already registered, we're going to have packet pickup here at our agency in Midland at 4708 James Savage Road. You can pick up your bib and your t-shirt on Friday. You can pick that up early if you wish in the hours of 9 to 3. If you want to just pick it up that morning, registration's at 8 a.m. And there'll be lots of volunteers guiding people around. We have a big grief center flag we'll have on Garfield Road so they know where to show up to. And so registration 8 a.m. We will then ask all the runners and walkers to be to the gate around 8:45 because we have a welcome. And we actually have a couple of our kids who attend group that are going to share a couple quick stories about how the Grief Center benefits them in their lives. And then 9 o'clock, the 5K goes. And then at 10:30, we have our kids' color run, which will be out of the secure area with all the color and so on. But that's at 10:30. And then the event will wrap up at 1 p.m.
Now, a color run, for anyone who's never been on one, you better explain that to the parents, because if they don't understand, they might not understand who's climbing into their car afterwards.
Good point. Very good point. So color run is where we issue them all a white t-shirt. And then as they're running through the course, we have volunteers with bottles of colored dust that they run through. And so, yes, that's exactly right. They will be rainbow colors when they're all done with that race. And actually, we do give them opportunity to run the course as many times as they want to get as colorful as they wish. Mm-hmm. We will pack we have an opportunity to pack the shirt up in a bag and so on. So you're right. It doesn't colorize, I guess, their seats in their car.
you got a fire truck there, right? Is it going to have water?
Yeah.
I got a fire truck. I got a decon shower.
Well, you're not using the de-icing equipment this time of year, right?
Not right now, no.
Yeah, that would be something. Well, is there a limit on the number of people who can participate, or is there can they register day of, or do they have to do that in advance?
No, they can register day of as well. We do have a little bit of a gap with those who want to be timed. If anybody who wants to be timed in the 5K, you have to get that registration done today because there's a little bit of work involved with the bib and putting a microchip on the back and so on. However, if you don't want to be timed, you can register day of. If you had plans and your plans fell through and you want to come out and run, we'll gladly register you that morning between 8 and 8:45 in the morning.
James, I don't know what those machines are called that push the airplane back from the gate. Looks like a Jeep on steroids.
Yeah, the pushbacks. Real
Yeah.
easy. Not very creative pushbacks.
I'm just thinking that, like, if I were to participate, but my bum knee gave out or something, could you push me back, like either to the starting line or the finish line?
Don't know about that, but there will be some volunteers and airport staff around. So if someone has a little bit of trouble, we can get you back to the starting line.
Some of us may not have trained adequately. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Well, this is going to be an excellent event. So, Chris, why don't you, for the people who want to participate again, either spectator or as a runner or walker, what they need to do once again?
Yep, absolutely. So if you want to run or walk, please go to our website. It's on the bottom of the screen, childrensgriefglbr.org. There's a banner on the top. Click on the Learn More button. That'll take you right to our registration page. Any spectators, please just show up. That's not a pre-registration. Show up. We'll come up to the registration booth. We'll sell you your wristband, and you can enjoy the day with, like I said, all of the bounce houses by Bouncing Bellas, the kids zone, the tie-dye shirts, crafts, games, and so on.
Well, Chris, thanks so much. I'm glad that you're explaining what the organization does too, because I think it's probably one that, unless you've had a child who's had to deal with some grief, you may have never even noticed that the organization existed. So, thank you for that information. James, thank you for stepping up and making things happen. Anyone who has to deal with, IRS, that's just one 3-letter organization in the government I deal with. You have a handful, and you managed them all. So hats off to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for making this happen. And again, anybody, you can see across the bottom of the screen the location of the website. Go ahead and get yourself in on this. Even if you're not running it, you can walk it and bring the kids, because it's awesome. You just never get a chance to be up there on a runway, to see an airport from that point of view. It's just something the kids will remember. I'm sure you'll take tons and tons of photos. Chris, you'll probably see lots of those flooding your email next week when this is all over.
That'd be great. That would be wonderful.
What an awesome event. Lots of fun and for a great cause. So thank you so much, both of you. I appreciate it. And thank you for listening. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.